Thanks for being with me. I hope you're having a blessed day or a blessed time whenever you're getting a chance to watch the show. I hope you'll stay with me. I'm going to talk about a number of issues today, and if you don't like what I'm talking about, wait around a little while, and I'll probably be moving on to another subject, talking about exciting things. You know, I haven't talked much in the last few weeks about my climate change program, so I thought I'd talk about that today a good bit. But if you're not thinking that climate is really an issue worth sacrificing for or changing our lifestyle a good bit, I don't think it is either. I think we can make changes that are not sacrificial, that don't involve giving up reliable electricity, that don't involve giving up our gasoline and diesel powered vehicles, which are so efficient and such a super wonderful way to travel. You know, I've taken several long road trips recently, and it really was glaring in my mind how differently that travel day would be if I was in an electric vehicle and having to hunt around every couple hours for a place to charge my vehicle and wait in a long line, potentially waiting for 30 or 45 minutes or even an hour or more before I could plug my car in, and then taking another potentially hour or more to charge it back up, you know, compared to pulling in a gas station and in 10 minutes being back on the road, having gas stations everywhere you need to be. If you've taken an interstate trip, you know, it's just so wonderful how many services we have available on the interstate highway. It's hard to go more than 30 or 40 miles at most before you see a gas station, so you feel very comfortable running your car down below a quarter of a tank before you pull in and quickly fill up and get back on the road and enjoy the wonderful experience that is taking a long distance car trip where you go through a couple of states in a day, and not if you're in Texas going from one side to the other, that's a whole day trip. But once you get out of Texas going east, the states go by pretty quickly. So we've had some great road trips, and I'm so glad to be in an efficient gasoline car that goes a long way on a tank of gas, and it's quick to fill up with readily available gasoline. You know, friends, what they're proposing in the insanity of thinking that solar photovoltaic can be a major power source. Imagine if solar photovoltaic is a big part of our electric power mix, and it's a cloudy day, you don't have any solar, you got rolling blackout, so you're in your electric car and may not be able to charge it because it doesn't have priority for electricity over hospitals and other essential purposes. You know, friends, I love the reliability of electricity. I love the fact that we're taping this show regardless of whether the sun's shining brightly. Today it's shining pretty brightly with just some intermittent cloudiness dropping the power down. What would it be like to watch this show if all of a sudden the screen goes dark and it comes back to life again as the power comes back on? I've got a better solution, friends, to the climate problem. I just have spent 2 afternoons this week talking to people at a conference about my positive carbon sequestration program that can make the world carbon negative while we still use oil and gas. That's right, friends. We don't have to focus on emissions. We have to focus on sinks and sequestration, increasing natural processes that just soak up all that carbon dioxide, lowering the atmospheric level, even while we still burning oil and natural gas, enjoying all the wonders of modern life. So friends, we can do it. The key ingredient is for you to sign up for our newsletter. Get ready to buy my book when it's out. We're rewriting it. It should be ready in a couple of months. Real excited to get it out to you. So sign up. The other thing you can do, if you're a regular watcher of this show, or if you stayed tuned in from the start of it, think, wow, this guy is different. This guy is bringing me a different, better perspective on things. Then join us with a small monthly donation. Help us. Give us a pat on the back saying thank you for your message. I'll really appreciate it. It'll be a huge help. When we think about what potential the earth has to increase carbon sequestration, friends, there's no free lunch. Now, I started out advocating for a government tax and spending program to fund carbon sequestration. But one day, a couple of weeks ago, I realized that that really goes against one of my core beliefs, which is the government can really do almost nothing well. It fails to provide safe streets and a crime-free world for us to live in. It fails to take care of the mentally ill. It fails to take care of the homeless. It fails to take care of our children and provide quality education, where America would be a world leader in education instead of being back in the pack, being surpassed by civilizations that have a more efficient mindset and don't have all the counterproductive things going on in their society. But friends, we can do carbon sequestration on a grand scale, on an international scale, through nonprofits raising money to do carbon sequestration, encouraging landowners to practice sequestration. The only role for government, in my mind, in making the world carbon negative is for governments to take care of their national woodlands. Here in America, the United States government is the largest landowner, because if you control something, you effectively own it. Yes, supposedly the American people own all our public lands, but in reality, the government controls it. They never ask me, say, David, do you want to spend more money on the national forest or less? Let's do something to get rid of forest fires. Friends, we got massive fires burning this year yet again because the woods are full of dead and dying trees. We need to remove those. You can go to Get Real Alliance, check out fullofideas.com, which should have a link on Get Real Alliance. We have solutions to the issue of forests, how to reclaim them, how to make them vital, how to work with nature more instead of fighting nature and doing so much destruction, clear-cutting woods and destroying small trees to get to big trees, and creating a wasteland where there was once a thriving ecosystem supporting all kinds of growth and birds and animals. When you see a cut-over, clear-cut region, it's a desolate place that takes many, many years to recover from that clear-cut logging. So join with me, friends. We need to change our ways. And we need to get away from the idea that we need to do things as cheaply as possible, that low cost is always better. Friends, it's not better. You know, buying something from Walmart isn't always better if it means putting a small store out of business that pays its workers well and paid a manager well, provided the store owner with a good profit. Losing all that industry to Amazon and Walmart, that low-cost deal, bargain shopping, reduces our society to poverty, friends, because good jobs are being lost and replaced by low-wage jobs that aren't enough to support a family. You know, making $15 an hour is a struggle to survive. That is not a thriving life. You know, wiping out store managers that were making $20 or $30 an hour in favor of $15 an hour Amazon worker is not any benefit to our society. Yes, you got something cheap, you may have gotten it below cost, but we're not getting anywhere. So think hard about your actions in life. Remember that loving your neighbor as yourself means to love the people that are selling you things, the people that are working for you, the people that are making things for you. So support people making a good livelihood. Don't say, I want to buy things super cheap, which means nobody made any money. Anyway, we can do carbon sequestration on a grand scale if people get behind it. So if you're concerned about climate, if you're concerned about carbon, give money to the Get Real Alliance. Send us a note and say, David, I want to see you all thrive. I want to see real differences made. So I'm going to give you $100 a month or $1,000 a month, or maybe you can only afford $20 a month. Friends, anything helps, but we need some people who are really concerned about climate to get behind us in a big way so we can start doing some big remineralization projects, putting basalt rock dust on the soil and in the soil and around the trees, under the vegetation, to sharply increase growth and suck more carbon dioxide into the soil where it belongs. Friends, we have soil that's badly deficient in carbon, badly deficient in other nutrients, and we need to restore it to health so that we have a future. All this talk about, oh, life is going to be so bad in 80 years about carbon dioxide totally ignores the fact that in 50 years, estimates are that much of the world's topsoil will be gone, and the world's deserts may be 50 or more million acres bigger, sharply reducing man's food-producing capacity, endangering wildlife, and changing life for the much worse. So when you get time, check it out. I'm a big supporter of Remineralize the Earth, remineralize.org. They've got a lot of content, good content, about the vital role that rock dust can play in restoring the earth to health. They desperately need followers. They desperately need supporters. So if you give to Get Real Alliance, we'll give to Remineralize the Earth. But friends, sign up on Patreon for Remineralize the Earth. Give them a small donation, $10, $20. The lady that started this is driven to make the world a better place and to save our soil. And she's done a fantastic job and really needs your support. So remineralizing is the answer, part of the solution. We need to remineralize the croplands, the grasslands, the forests, even the tundra and the marine wetlands in particular are such high potential to soak up massive amounts of carbon, because the beautiful thing about a wetland is water's not in short supply. They've got all the water they can stand. So the growth is enormous. The carbon sequestration is enormous in marine wetland, and the soils in marine land store huge amounts of carbon. So help us make a difference. Let's not be sitting back on our heels saying, oh, there's nothing we can do, we're doomed. Oh no, we have to go to unreliable power. We have to wait in line for hours to charge our electric car, or not be able to charge it because there's no power, because the renewables aren't working. Friends, we need to keep doing what we're doing with improved efficiency and better and simpler and smarter renewables that really make a difference. I'm more in favor of algae-based biofuels and renewable biogas, which is renewable methane or natural gas coming from waste products, from trash, from food waste, from manure, from sewage. There's so many sources that we can make good renewable natural gas from. We need to promote that, and that's what we're all about. So you can help us by joining and even more importantly by donating, giving us that monthly donation so that we know we've got funds to work. And you know, for 30 cents we can bring a visitor to our website, which means that a $20 a month donation is like you telling 60 people about Get Real Alliance and bringing them to it. So friends, that $20 goes a long way. So please support us and help us. Help us promote our positive solution to climate change, which is holistic grazing, regenerative agriculture, planting cover crops, keeping the land, growing something green all year long as much as possible, and restoring marine wetlands and forests to health so they soak up lots of carbon instead of being carbon emitters when they die or cut down or burned. You know, friends, the marine wetlands are kind of the base of the food chain that feeds the ocean life, and we need more fish in the ocean to feed our growing hunger for food in this world. So let's make a difference. Let's boost growth, and we can do it if you give and if you support us. Now we're going to start a nonprofit that's a 501c3, a charitable organization to do climate remediation, but a donation to Get Real Alliance, which is not tax deductible, will fund things to spread the word and get the word out in a big way. For most people, tax deductions don't matter because they don't itemize their taxes. They just take the standard deduction. But we're going to have Get Real About Climate, a 501c3, real soon for foundations and companies and people that do want that charitable deduction to cut their cost of giving. We can make a difference, friends. But as Edmund Burke said, all that is needed for evil to prevail is for good men to do nothing. So don't be a good man doing nothing. Be a good man doing something. If you have other issues you'd like to get promoted and you'd like to hear our solutions to, we're spinning out the climate program onto getrealaboutclimate.org. And we're going to talk about other issues with Get Real Alliance, talk about debt, crime, homelessness, education, military security, all kinds of issues. So stay tuned in. If you're watching this show on YouTube, subscribe to us, spread the news, share us. I may not be the most telegenic host, but I am an out-of-the-box thinker, and I'll assure you, you will not hear mundane stuff that you've heard on the regular news or in social media, because I'm an out-of-the-box thinker. I'm an inventor. I'm an idea guy, and I have a unique insight into how things work and how to make life better. You may ask, how in the world do you know anything, and why should we listen to you? Well, I've got over 50 years of agricultural experience, starting when I was 10 years old or less in my father's large garden, managing 40 chickens and gathering the eggs and selling them, taking care of the chickens every day. So I'm familiar with agriculture. I ended up with a large grass-fed beef operation that was raising lots of top quality meat, feeding America some really healthy, prime quality meat. And so I know what it's about. I know what the soil can do with proper management. And frankly, friends, we are mismanaging our soil. We're letting it erode. We're letting it be depleted. We're not restoring nutrients to it. When we do have cattle on the land, we're not grazing them naturally and holistically. We're leaving them on a pasture too long where they just eat the good grass down to nothing, leaving behind less palatable grasses to take over the pasture. So we need to do things in a natural way, which is to graze in short intervals and move the cattle to new pasture so the pasture they just grazed can regrow vigorously. If you chop the grass way down, the grass has to pull energy out of its roots, depleting its roots to regrow. So it's a negative cycle. If you keep doing that, the plant gets weaker and weaker till it finally may die out altogether. Many of the best grasses have been killed by traditional grazing. The once rich prairie covered with a polyculture of rich grasses is now often a monoculture of grasses that can stand to be grazed down to the nub because they're not that palatable. So help me spread the word. Join us, share us. I know you've heard me say that several times. Well, friends, so many people tune into these shows for just a few seconds. They're clicking around on the channels. So I repeat myself because the essential message is, if you go to Get Well Alliance, read up on the site, watch the videos, sign up for the newsletter, you will be getting much more informed than you get watching a few minutes of this TV show. So please do that. Let's make the world carbon negative while we still use oil and gas, while we still enjoy a good quality of life, while we still have reliable electricity. Help me spread the good news. You know, it takes time, it takes effort, and I love doing it. I love talking with people. You know, talking with you on this TV show is so much less satisfactory than talking to you in person. I love a good in-person visit, a great lunch. I hope you're getting some good social interaction now that things have opened back up, because it is so wonderful. Going to this trade show earlier this week was so wonderful, to be in person with people, to be shaking people's hands and having a good conversation with no mask. What a blessing it is that we're coming out of this dark time and these excessive lockdowns out of great fear of sickness and death. So friends, we can do it. We can make the world carbon negative. We can save these forests. If you want to write your Congress and say, I want to spend money to make the forest healthy, let's not spend trillions of dollars on all sorts of wasteful things. Let's spend $50 or $100 billion a year rescuing America's forests from this downward slope they're on, where they're dying out and going to be replaced with a wasteland. So join me, friends, in fighting to have a posterity for our children. My children are still young. 50 years from now, they'll be a little older than me, but they could be in a very dark time if we don't start taking care of things, if we don't start getting sensible and restoring the soil to health, preserving soil, not having massive erosion, changing agricultural practices. There's so many things to do, friends. I need your help. Don't be one sitting on the couch saying, oh, there's no hope, there's no fulfillment. I've got God, so I'm going to heaven, and that's all I need to be concerned about. God calls us to be good stewards of this earth, to take care of this earth. We won't be viewed happily in heaven if we've done nothing but deplete things and make things worse, you know. Because if you love your neighbor as yourself, as God commands us, that includes future neighbors, that includes neighbors overseas, that includes everyone. So if you're allowing somebody to go hungry, if you're allowing the soil to be depleted so future generations won't have soil to work with, then friends, you're not loving your neighbor yourself, you're sinning. So it's a sin to abuse the earth and destroy it and make it worse out of laziness or greed or whatever the reason is, or maybe just being kind of devil possessed and wanting to be destructive. But we need to see the joy of a healthy green earth sequestering all that carbon dioxide and making us carbon negative. Now you may say, well, I don't think carbon dioxide is a big problem. I don't know what a safe level of carbon dioxide is. I don't know whether, 100 parts per million more will be a super crisis, or whether we'd be far better off with 100 parts per million less. Nobody knows. Nobody in the climate activist group is even talking about lowering levels. They're just talking about slowing the rise, because the deteriorating environment is emitting lots of carbon on its own. Forest fires, wood rotting, soil carbon being depleted through tillage. So much is happening negative that even if man quit burning fossil fuels today, the levels would keep going up because of all these natural processes that are out of balance. So when we think about it, friends, the answer to this carbon issue and the issue of rising carbon dioxide is to make a donation to getreliance.org, share it widely with your social media, join us on social media, join us on Instagram, Facebook, or the other platforms. Share us strongly so that we can build up that big audience that captures people's attention, that captures the social media giants where they start promoting us. Friends, it just takes momentum to get started. It's like an avalanche. It starts out with just a few small rocks rolling along, and then all of a sudden as they roll down the hill, it gets bigger and bigger till it's a huge, massive, very high energy thing that can really change the world. So help us change the world by joining us on social media, signing up for our website, and even better, please give us a monthly donation. We desperately need funds. We're currently operating on my funds, and my funds are limited. I'm sacrificially given to try to get this started because, frankly, friends, I'm blessed with some good fortune, but if we don't change our ways, as I advocate, we have a dark future ahead. So stay tuned in, share the show, get online, and tell your friends, hey, there is a positive solution. Believe it or not, regardless of what the media is talking about, most of the media has no real answer. Even the conservative media has no real answer. I have answers, friends, and I need you to help me share them. So share the show, join us on social media, do all the things you can do. Don't be one of those good men doing nothing, allowing evil thoughts and bad things to happen in the world. Because, friends, it is bad to destroy the world. May you have a blessed day, and may the peace that passes understanding be a part of your life, and doing something positive for the world will make the difference.